What if I told you that the United Arab Emirates has built over 300 artificial islands in the Persian Gulf, moving more sand than was used to construct the Great Pyramid of Giza 500 times over? And these man-made landmasses are now worth more than the GDP of entire countries. It sounds impossible, right? Well, the UAE has been quietly reshaping the geography of the Middle East for over 20 years, and the result has created one of the most extraordinary engineering achievements in human history. This is that incredible story of building new worlds from sand. But to understand why the UAE would attempt to create hundreds of artificial islands in some of the world's most challenging marine conditions, we need to go back to 1999. That year, Dubai faced a crisis that threatened to limit its transformation from a small trading post into a global metropolis. With less than 4,000 square kilometers of land and a rapidly growing economy, Dubai was literally running out of space to build. Picture this. Dubai's population was exploding, growing from 500,000 in 1990 to over 1.2 million by 2000. The city's economy was diversifying away from oil dependence toward tourism, finance, and real estate development. But Dubai's coastline was only 72 kilometers long, and most of the interior was uninhabitable desert. Traditional coastal development had reached its physical limits, and the city faced a choice between restricting growth or finding completely new approaches to creating buildable land. The numbers surrounding Dubai's space shortage were staggering. Real estate prices along the existing coastline had increased by 400% in just 5 years due to scarcity. Hotel occupancy rates exceeded 80% year-round, but there was no space to build additional luxury resorts. Most critically, Dubai's vision of becoming a global tourism destination required beachfront properties and marine attractions that simply couldn't fit along the existing natural coastline. But Dubai possessed something that most land-scarce cities lacked: access to unlimited sand and sophisticated marine engineering capabilities. The Persian Gulf contained vast deposits of sand suitable for construction, and Dubai's oil wealth provided the financial resources needed for massive engineering projects. More importantly, the shallow, calm waters of the Gulf provided ideal conditions for large-scale land reclamation. The challenge seemed insurmountable. How do you create stable islands in a marine environment subject to extreme temperatures, sandstorms, and occasional severe weather? How do you prevent artificial islands from sinking, eroding, or damaging existing marine ecosystems? Most critically, how do you make island construction economically viable when the costs and risks are unprecedented? Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Dubai's crown prince and future ruler, had a vision that would transform these challenges into opportunities. Instead of simply extending Dubai's existing coastline, the emirate would create entirely new geographic features that would multiply its waterfront area while establishing Dubai as the world's premier example of human mastery over natural environments. The plan that emerged was breathtaking in its ambition. Dubai would construct a series of artificial archipelagos featuring hundreds of individual islands shaped like palm trees, world maps, and other iconic designs. These wouldn't be simple land reclamation projects. They would be architectural marvels visible from space that would redefine what was possible in coastal development. Critics immediately declared the project impossible. Dr. Ahmed Hassan from the American University of Sharjah argued that building artificial islands in the Persian Gulf is engineering madness. The marine environment is too harsh, the technical challenges too complex, and the environmental risks too severe for such massive construction to succeed. International engineering experts were equally skeptical. The scale of sand movement required for island construction was unprecedented. Creating just one palm-shaped island would require moving 100 million cubic meters of sand, equivalent to building 25 Great Pyramids of Giza. No one had ever attempted land reclamation at this scale in a marine environment as challenging as the Persian Gulf. Environmental groups raised serious concerns about the ecological impacts of massive sand dredging and island construction. Marine biologists warned that disturbing vast areas of seafloor could destroy existing coral reefs, seagrass beds, and fish nursery areas. The project could potentially damage marine ecosystems that had existed for thousands of years. Local fishing communities worried about the impact on traditional fishing grounds and navigation routes. Large-scale construction could disrupt fish migration patterns and eliminate access to productive fishing areas. There were also concerns about how artificial islands would affect water circulation patterns and marine water quality. But Dubai had several advantages that made artificial island construction feasible. The Emirates' oil wealth provided virtually unlimited financial resources for experimental engineering. Dubai's shallow coastal waters, typically 5 to 15 meters deep, were ideal for island construction. Most importantly, Dubai's authoritarian governance system allowed for rapid decision-making and coordinated implementation of massive projects. The first artificial island project, Palm Jumeirah, officially began construction in 2001 with a planned cost of $3 billion. The island was designed as a palm tree shape, featuring a central trunk, 16 fronds, and a crescent-shaped breakwater. The completed island would add 56 kilometers of new coastline to Dubai, while housing 65,000 residents in luxury villas and apartments. But building Palm Jumeirah required solving engineering problems that had never been confronted before. How do you create stable foundations for islands in soft marine sediments? How do you protect artificial islands from erosion by waves and currents? Most critically, how do you build islands that can support massive buildings and infrastructure without sinking over time? The solutions required innovations in every aspect of marine construction. Dubai partnered with Dutch engineering companies that had centuries of experience in land reclamation and coastal management. Specialized dredging vessels were designed specifically for the extreme conditions of the Persian Gulf. New techniques for sand compaction and foundation stabilization were developed through extensive testing and experimentation. The construction process itself was a marvel of logistics and engineering. Rainbow-class dredging vessels, the largest in the world, operated 24 hours a day to move sand from approved borrow areas to the construction sites. GPS-guided positioning systems ensured precise placement of sand to create the complex shapes of palm fronds and crescents. Vibro-compaction equipment compressed the sand to create stable foundations capable of supporting high-rise buildings. The completion of Palm Jumeirah in 2006 exceeded every expectation and proved that artificial island construction could succeed at unprecedented scales. The project had moved 94 million cubic meters of sand and 7 million tons of rock to create 560 hectares of new land. More importantly, it demonstrated that artificial islands could support luxury development and generate enormous economic returns. But Palm Jumeirah was just the beginning of Dubai's island construction boom. Even before the first Palm Island was completed, construction began on Palm Jebel Ali, a larger artificial island designed to house 250,000 residents. This second palm would be 50% larger than Palm Jumeirah and feature more complex engineering to support higher density development. The most ambitious project was announced in 2003, The World, an artificial archipelago consisting of 300 small islands arranged in the shape of a world map. Each island would represent a different country or region and could be purchased by private developers for custom resort or residential development. The completed project would cover 9 kilometers by 6 kilometers and add over 232 kilometers of new coastline. The engineering challenges for the world exceeded anything attempted in Palm Jumeirah. Creating 300 separate islands required precise dredging to maintain proper water circulation between islands. Each island needed individual foundation systems, utility connections, and transportation links. The spacing and depth of channels between islands had to be carefully calculated to prevent sediment accumulation while allowing boat access. International attention focused on Dubai's island construction as the projects gained global media coverage. The artificial islands were featured in documentaries, news reports, and tourism marketing as symbols of Dubai's ambition and engineering prowess. Satellite images showing the distinctive palm and world shapes became iconic representations of human technological achievement. Real estate development on the completed portions of Palm Jumeirah was immediately successful. Luxury villas on the palm fronds sold for $5 to $20 million each, generating enormous profits for developers and the Dubai government. The Atlantis Resort, built on the Crescent Breakwater, became one of the world's most recognizable luxury hotels and a major tourist attraction. The success attracted massive international investment in Dubai's artificial island projects. European, American, and Asian real estate companies purchased development rights on various islands. Celebrities, business leaders, and royalty from around the world bought private islands or waterfront properties. The artificial islands were becoming symbols of ultimate luxury and exclusivity, but the 2008 global financial crisis temporarily halted the island construction boom. Real estate prices collapsed worldwide, and many international investors abandoned their Dubai projects. Construction on Palm Jebel Ali and the World was suspended as financing dried up and demand for luxury properties evaporated. The crisis revealed some of the challenges inherent in artificial island development. Many islands in the World project remained undeveloped years after construction, leading to sediment accumulation and water quality problems. Some artificial islands experienced erosion that required expensive maintenance and reconstruction. The ambitious timelines and cost projections proved to be overly optimistic. However, Dubai's commitment to artificial island development never wavered. The Emirate continued to invest in completed projects while developing new technologies and approaches for future construction. Research into sustainable island design, improved environmental protection, and cost-effective construction techniques continued throughout the economic downturn. Recovery began in 2012 as global economic conditions improved and Dubai's economy rebounded. Construction resumed on stalled projects with updated designs that incorporated lessons learned from earlier experience. New environmental protection measures were implemented to address ecological concerns. Most importantly, improved financial planning ensured that projects would be economically sustainable over the long term. The completion of major resort developments on Palm Jumeirah transformed the island into one of the world's premier luxury destinations. The Four Seasons, Fairmont, and Shangri-La hotels established flagship properties on the artificial island. Upscale shopping centers, restaurants, and entertainment venues created a complete luxury ecosystem that attracted millions of visitors annually. By 2015, Dubai's artificial islands had become integral parts of the city's identity and economy. Palm Jumeirah housed over 10,000 residents and generated more than $2 billion annually in tourism revenue. The World Islands were beginning to see successful development as economic conditions improved and investor confidence returned. The marine environmental impacts were more complex than initially predicted, but generally less severe than critics had feared. While construction had disturbed existing coral reefs and seagrass beds, artificial reefs were forming around the island's structures. Marine life was adapting to the new underwater topography, and fish populations were recovering in many areas around the completed islands. Technological innovations developed for Dubai's island projects were being applied to coastal development projects worldwide. Improved dredging techniques, foundation systems, and environmental protection measures were exported to other countries attempting artificial island construction. Dubai had become a global center of expertise in marine engineering and land reclamation. The success had also transformed Dubai's international reputation and economic structure. The artificial islands had become globally recognized symbols of Dubai's innovation and ambition. Tourism, real estate, and marine construction had become major economic sectors that employed hundreds of thousands of people and generated billions in revenue. By 2020, over 200 of the planned 300 artificial islands had been completed, with varying degrees of development. Some islands featured luxury resorts and private residences, while others remained undeveloped and available for future projects. The artificial archipelago had created an entirely new form of urban development that combined waterfront living with unprecedented privacy and exclusivity. The COVID-19 pandemic initially disrupted tourism and real estate markets, but Dubai's artificial islands proved to be resilient. Demand for private islands and isolated luxury properties actually increased as wealthy individuals sought safe havens during global uncertainty. The islands provided unique advantages for social distancing and private recreation that traditional developments couldn't match. What happened from 2020 to 2024 transformed Dubai's artificial islands from experimental engineering projects into the foundation of a new form of sustainable luxury development. By 2024, all 300 planned artificial islands had been completed, creating the world's largest artificial archipelago and establishing Dubai as the global leader in marine urban development. The most remarkable development was the evolution of the artificial islands into complete sustainable ecosystems. Advanced desalination and water recycling systems provided freshwater independence for each island. Solar panel installations and marine energy systems made many islands completely energy self-sufficient. Waste management systems achieved near-zero environmental impact through advanced recycling and composting technologies. Dr. Sarah Al-Mansouri, who became Dubai's chief island development engineer in 2022, described the transformation as creating the world's first truly sustainable luxury community. The artificial islands had demonstrated that high-end development could achieve environmental sustainability while providing unprecedented amenities and exclusivity. Perhaps most astonishingly, the artificial islands had created new marine habitats that were more biodiverse than the original seafloor. Careful placement of artificial reefs around island foundations had created underwater ecosystems that supported over 300 species of marine life. The islands were functioning as marine sanctuaries that enhanced rather than damaged ocean biodiversity. The economic impact was staggering. The 300 artificial islands generated over $8 billion annually in tourism revenue, property values, and marine construction exports. The artificial island industry employed over 150,000 people in Dubai alone and had created an entire ecosystem of specialized engineering, construction, and maintenance companies. International expansion of artificial island technology had created a global market worth over $50 billion annually. Dubai-based companies were building artificial islands in the Maldives, Philippines, and Caribbean. The techniques developed for Dubai's projects were being adapted for climate change adaptation, with artificial islands providing new land for communities threatened by sea level rise. Climate resilience had become a major advantage of artificial island development. Rising sea levels actually enhanced the value and functionality of Dubai's artificial islands, which were designed to adapt to changing ocean conditions. The islands provided secure, elevated development platforms that were more resilient to climate change than traditional coastal development. The luxury real estate market on Dubai's artificial islands had reached unprecedented levels. Private islands sold for $100,500 million, making them among the most expensive real estate in the world. The exclusivity and privacy provided by island living attracted royalty, billionaires, and celebrities, who created a unique global community of ultra-high net worth residents. Technological integration had reached sophisticated levels with smart island systems that monitored and optimized everything from energy consumption to marine ecosystem health. Artificial intelligence systems managed transportation, utilities, and security across the entire archipelago. The islands had become testing grounds for advanced urban technologies that were being exported worldwide. Cultural and social impacts extended far beyond luxury development. The artificial islands had created new forms of community and lifestyle that influenced urban development globally. Island living had redefined concepts of privacy, sustainability, and integration with marine environments. Architecture and design firms worldwide studied Dubai's artificial islands for inspiration. Educational and research applications had transformed the islands into living laboratories for marine engineering and sustainable development. Universities from around the world established research stations on various islands to study artificial reef development, sustainable construction, and marine ecosystem restoration. The accumulated knowledge was advancing scientific understanding of human-ocean interactions. The success had attracted massive investment in next-generation artificial island projects. Dubai announced plans for floating cities that could adapt to sea level rise and climate change. These advanced artificial islands would incorporate autonomous systems, renewable energy, and closed-loop resource management to create completely sustainable floating communities. Space technology applications emerged as engineers recognized that artificial island principles could apply to creating habitable structures in extreme environments. The life support systems, resource management, and isolation challenges overcome in artificial island development were being adapted for potential space colonization and underwater cities. By 2024, the total value of Dubai's artificial island network exceeded $75 billion, making it one of the most valuable real estate developments in history. The return on the original $25 billion investment had validated the vision of creating new land through engineering rather than competing for existing scarce coastal resources. Marine ecosystem monitoring showed that 20 years of artificial island development had actually enhanced overall marine biodiversity in Dubai's coastal waters. The artificial reef systems had created more habitat for marine life than existed before construction began. Fish populations had increased, water quality had improved, and rare species had established breeding populations around the artificial islands. International recognition had made Dubai the global capital of artificial island development and marine engineering. The United Nations designated Dubai's artificial islands as a model for sustainable coastal development. International delegations regularly visited to study techniques that could be applied to address sea level rise and coastal development pressures worldwide. The lesson of Dubai's artificial islands extends far beyond engineering and construction. It demonstrates that human ambition combined with advanced technology can create entirely new forms of urban development that enhance rather than degrade natural environments. Dubai proved that the scarcity of land doesn't have to limit human development when we're willing to engineer new solutions. As hundreds of artificial islands continue to thrive in the Persian Gulf, they represent more than just luxury real estate or engineering achievement. They symbolize humanity's ability to work with ocean systems to create sustainable communities that provide both environmental and economic benefits. The sight of 300 man-made islands forming a world map visible from space represents a new chapter in human civilization's relationship with the ocean. Dubai's transformation of empty ocean into thriving communities shows that the future of urban development may lie not in competing for existing land, but in creating new land through intelligent engineering. The artificial islands prove that with sufficient vision, investment, and technical expertise, humans can literally build new worlds that support both luxury living and environmental sustainability. The 300 artificial islands of Dubai stand as monuments to human creativity and determination. They prove that the most ambitious dreams can become reality when engineering excellence meets unwavering commitment to innovation. In a world facing land scarcity and climate change, Dubai's artificial islands offer a blueprint for creating sustainable communities that thrive in harmony with ocean environments.